Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the second Regional Schools Investment Competition Investment Education webinar. We are happy to have you here today, and we hope that you find this morning's session very informative. My name is Jaron Bennett, and I'm the Senior Manager of the Operations Division at the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange. And we are pleased to once again partner with the licensed broker-dealers and the Eastern Caribbean Securities Regulatory Commission to host the second annual Regional Schools Investment Competition during the period of October to November. We are here this morning to kick off this year's competition with an investment education webinar, which is not only for the students and teachers participating in the competition, but for all students and teachers that the schools can accommodate. The aim of this session is to provide you with some basic information about investing, and in particular about investing in securities that are available in our regional securities market. We hope that this session will provide you, the students, that are participating in the competition, with information that you need to understand the market to make wise investment decisions. We also hope that information experience gained during the competition will stay with you even after the competition has ended and inspire you to become an investor in our actual securities market. To the students that are not participating in the competition, we hope that the information you hear this morning will pique your interest in investing and wealth management, and that it will also result in you becoming an investor in our market in a few years. Teachers, we hope that today's session provides you with some valuable information and would encourage you to either start your own investment portfolio or to continue growing your portfolio and building your wealth. There's also the possibility for the students, there's also the possibility for you to become a future issuer of securities in our market, because I'm sure that some of you will go to start your own businesses. And as you successfully grow your company, you should remember that getting money on our market to fund the expansion of the business is a very powerful option. And some of you can also explore career opportunities in the world of finance, which should help to grow our regional market. Because having young, bright minds entering the financial sector will bring new ideas and investment products to citizens in the region and will give us all more opportunities to invest and grow our wealth. So as you listen to the various presenters this morning, I encourage you to pay close attention to what is being said, because it can have a meaningful impact on your life and in the development of the Eastern Caribbean financial sector and securities market. To the teachers, we thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to become a short and we look forward to an engaging session. We would also like to thank you for guiding them through this year's competition. And I take this opportunity as I close to wish the competing schools all the best and a rewarding experience during this competition. And just remember that the competition is scheduled for October 4th, just prior to the start of the competition, which is scheduled for October the 8th. So thank you and enjoy the rest of this session.
Thank you so much, Jaron. And just a bit of housekeeping matters before we move on to the program. Just to indicate, if you can rename yourself, for those of you who haven't renamed yourselves as a school, if you can just indicate what school you're from so that we can see that on screen in terms of who the schools that are being represented today. So if you have your names right now, your individual names, if you can just rename it, just right click and you can click on rename to the name of your school, that would be appreciated. I know we had a few little audio issues. Hopefully we can resolve that as we move forward. I'll now invite our next presenter, Ms. Aquila Pierre of Grenada. Sorry, can you also mute your mics? If you want to indicate anything, you can message in the chat. Thanks. In terms of the in terms of the next in line, so you can see the program on the screen. We are going to discuss investment fundamentals. Sakila Pierre, Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited. She will present that. I will then present the next session, which is the securities market and overview. And then Tricia and Henry will present on investing on the ECSE. We'll have some recaps and questions in between, and then there will be an opportunity if you have any other questions. And then there will be some closing remarks, which will include information about the upcoming competition. So without further ado, and I will check the chat. I think somebody was messaging, so I'll check the chat in a bit. But without further ado, I introduce you to Ms. Aquila Pierre, who will take you through investing fundamentals.
Good morning, everyone. The aim of this session is to help you understand key financial concepts such as saving, investing, risk management, diversification, among other topics. So we'll begin with the importance of saving and investing and the difference between the two. So saving is essentially setting aside a portion of your income that you do not intend to spend immediately on consumption, right? And investing, on the other hand, involves allocating your money or resources into assets with the expectation that they generate profits or income over time. This leads us to the crucial differences between saving and investing. Now, saving and investing, they may sound similar, but they serve different purposes. And in this table, I will give you a brief overview of the difference between the two. So in terms of the purpose, saving focuses on wealth retention and ensuring security for short-term needs, whereas investing is aimed at growing your wealth and achieving long-term financial goals. Then we have the level of risk associated with the two. Savings are generally low risk because most of the time it will be saved in financial institutions that are regulated by the central banks or other entities. For example, in Grenada, the credit unions are regulated by GAFIN. Investing carries various levels of risk from moderate to high. In terms of return, saving offer lower returns. In most commercial banks, the interest rate on savings is 2%, while investing has the potential for significantly higher returns. In terms of liquidity, savings are typically more liquid. That means that they can be accessed quickly. And in contrast, investments tends to be less liquid as the funds are tied up for a longer period of time. One of the key principles in investing is the concept of compounding. Now, compounding means that you're earning returns not only on your initial investment, but also on the gains you've accumulated over time. Compounding allows investment to grow exponentially as the earnings are compounded on both the principal and the previous returns. So we look at an example here. So for example, if you invest $1,000 at 5% annual return, after 2 years, your investment would have grown to $1,102.50. This formula is typically what you would use to calculate your compound interest. And starting early, this is a diagram that shows the effect of compounding. So as you can see, the longer you hold your investments, the higher the return would be with compound interest. So this is just a small diagram to show how compound interest is different from simple interest. Right, so starting early maximizes the benefit of compounding enabling greater wealth accumulation over time. So in this example, an investor contributes $6,000 a year into, let's say, a retirement account, and she earns 7% yearly. But as you can see, her waiting 5 years winds up costing her almost $500,000. So this diagram just drives the importance of compounding and how it actually works. There are several types of investment products available, and they each offer different risks, and they also have different rewards associated with each one of them. So we have equities or stocks or shares, which I will go into deeper in the next slide. We have debt securities, that's treasury bills, notes, and bonds. And this is basically loans made to a government or corporation with regular interest payments and return of the principal at maturity. Mutual funds, they are pooled investments managed by professionals. And the benefit of mutual funds is that they offer diversification, which we'll also explain in a couple slides. Exchange traded funds or ETFs, they are similar to mutual funds, but they are traded like stocks. And real estate, which I'm sure everybody is accustomed to, they are physical properties that appreciate in value over time. We have commodities, which are tangible assets like gold or oil. And last but not least, we have certificates of deposit or CDs. And these are time deposits that pay interest over a set period of time. So equities, basically, they represent ownership in a company, and investors earn through capital appreciation. That's when the shares increase in value. And you can also earn through dividend payments. The dividend payments, however, the company are not obligated to pay the dividend at the end of each financial year. It depends on how the company performs and the dividend policy. I've mentioned risk and returns quite a few times before. So when investing, it's important to understand the balance between risk and return, right? So what is risk? Risk is basically the level of uncertainty or potential for financial loss in an investment. And returns are the gains or losses experienced over a specific period of time. Risk and return, they are related, as you can see in this diagram here. They have a positive relationship. So what that means is when risk increases, the chances of your return becomes higher as well. But it could also work in the opposite way. It could also mean that you would lose a big chunk of your investment, right? So I would say that managing risk is essential in any investment strategy. As an investor, you would have to analyze and think about your risk assessment style. So some people, they're risk averse. Some people, they love taking higher risk because they can grow their portfolio higher. But you must remember that you have to manage the risk. So managing risk is essential in any investment strategy. And risk management involves identifying and controlling the risk to minimize the potential of negative outcomes in your portfolio. And a powerful tool that you would hear mention a lot, is diversification. So diversification is basically spreading your investments across different asset types or sectors to reduce your exposure to any single risk. I know a lot of us have heard, don't put your eggs in one basket. So that is essentially what diversification is. So when you diversify your portfolio, you're basically balancing the risk-return ratio more effectively. So that was it for me. I have a few questions. The first question is, what is the main difference between saving and investing?
So persons have the opportunity to raise your hand and answer the questions. She's just recapping the presentation. I know we have a lot of bright students who are tuning into the presentation, so give it a go. If you can't find the raise hand, oh, I see somebody's raising their hand. So it's a few of you, so let me just find the ones that are raising their hands. Okay, there we go. I see CEMSS. I think that's Charles E. Mills Secondary School. You can respond.
Saving is wealth retention and security for short-term needs, whereas investing is wealth growth and achieving long-term goals.
Yes, that's correct.
That's excellent. So anybody for the next question, what is compounding and why is it important in investing? I see St. Martin's Secondary School wanting to answer.
Yes, compounding, your investment helps to the longer you hold your investment, the higher your compound interest would be.
That's correct as well. I think somebody else had their hand up. You look at.
I'm just seeing St. Martin's Secondary School. I think that's the one that answered. Is there anybody else that I'm missing? I'm not seeing any other hand.
Okay. Yes, that's correct. The longer you hold the investment, the higher the return would be. But compounding also includes you earning returns on both the principal and the previous earnings.
Okay. I see Dominica Community High with their hand up.
Oh, okay.
You wanted to add something?
The asking for the second question.
Go ahead. Dominica Community High, you can go ahead and contribute, or you changed your mind. Okay, Akila, I guess we can go on.
Okay. The third question is, what is the relationship between risk and return?
The Montserrat Secondary School wanting to respond.
Okay, so the relationship between risk and return is a positive relationship, meaning that the higher the risk, the higher the return, and the lower the risk, the lower the return.
Yes, that's correct. Awesome. And finally, what is diversification and how does it help manage investment risk?
Takers? Okay, I see Ira Simmons Secondary. Ira Simmons Secondary, you can go ahead and respond.
Invest in more than one stock rather than just in one.
Can
Sorry,
you
can you-
speak up? Sorry, can you repeat that? We didn't hear you very clearly.
Invest in more than one stock in a portfolio rather than just investing in one. And it helps. And it helps to manage risk by lowering it.
Yeah, essentially.
Not quite, right? Let's see, St. Vincent Girls High School, you want to try?
Good morning.
Can you speak a little louder if increase the volume on your mic?
Diversification is spread investment across different areas to minimize risk.
I didn't hear.
Okay, you heard that?
No, I didn't hear.
I think
Can you repeat, please?
I think
a bit
she
louder?
indicated investing in securities across islands was an example. I believe that's what she said, right?
She's saying no.
Oh, continue. Can you speak a little louder?
I'm not hearing.
The school that just responded, sorry, I can't recall which school. You want to respond again? If not, we'll go on to another person because we didn't hear you clearly. Okay, let's go on to St. Joseph Convent. You can respond. What is diversification? How does it help manage investment risk? Is your mic muted? We're not hearing you. Okay.
Hello?
Okay,
Hello?
we're hearing you now. Go ahead.
Okay, so Miss diversification is basically like the act of like basically spreading your investments across your different assets, Miss, and how this basically helps investment risk. So Miss, if you have like a big risk, Miss, instead of making one specific asset handle that risk, Miss, you can, with it being spread across the board, different assets will be affected. So that one asset that you would have intended to use for the investment, it wouldn't be affected that badly.
Volume.
Thank
You have the
you.
link.
Thank you for your contribution. Anybody else wants to take a try? St. Martin's Secondary School.
Good morning. Okay, so in a brief manner, diversification is spreading investment across asset sectors to reduce exposure to a single risk. And how this manages risks is basically if one asset fails, you could rely on a different asset to carry your profit higher. Right.
That's great. Thank you. Andrea Durant. I'm not sure what school.
Good morning. This is the adult secondary school.
Hi, morning.
Diversification, basically not putting all your eggs in one basket, investing in different securities, spreading the risk across your investments.
Yes, that's correct. That's essentially what diversification is. Thank you. Grenada Boys Secondary School.
Diversification means investing in different assets at lower risk. It helps by reducing losses, stabilizing portfolio, and increasing the chances of steady returns. It protects against big losses by not implying one investment.
Thank you so much. That's a great explanation.
Okay, cool. I think they definitely have a handle on diversification.
Yeah.
So we could probably move on now. So thanks for your participation, everyone. So we'll move on to the next presentation, which is my slide. So let me share now. Everybody seeing my slide okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Yes, so I'll be presenting on the securities market and overview. Okay, and then following my presentation, there'll be a presentation by Ms. Tricia Ann Henry on investing on the ECSE. Okay, so today in this presentation, we'll be looking at, I just realized is my video on, okay. We'll be looking at what the security market is. We'll talk about what the Eastern Caribbean Securities Market is, and then we will discuss the benefits of the market. So a securities market is like any other market where buyers and sellers meet to exchange goods and services. So in the case of securities market, the buyers are referred to as investors. These are individuals and institutions who have money, or sometimes referred to as capital, to invest. The sellers are public companies, governments, and other investors. So the products they sell are securities, and Aquila would have gone through some of the types of securities that are sold on a securities market. And these include stocks, bonds, and other financial products which are exchanged for money. So a securities market essentially is a market where you buy and sell goods and services. In this case, the investors are buying securities and selling securities. The sellers are companies, governments, and other investors. So just to take you through and give you a little feel of what the securities market is all about, I have a little video here, which we'll tune into.
In the 1600s, the Dutch East India Company employed hundreds of ships to trade gold, porcelain, spices, and silks around the globe. But running this massive operation wasn't cheap. In order to fund their expensive voyages, the company turned to private citizens, individuals who could invest money to support the trip in exchange for a share of the ship's profits. This practice allowed the company to afford even grander voyages, increasing profits for both themselves and their savvy investors. Selling these shares in coffee houses and shipping ports across the continent, the Dutch East India Company unknowingly invented the world's first stock market. Since then, companies have been collecting funds from willing investors to support all kinds of businesses. And today, the stock market has schools, careers, and even whole television channels dedicated to understanding it. But the modern stock market is significantly more complicated than its original incarnation. So how do companies and investors use the market today? Let's imagine a new coffee company that decides to launch on the market. First, the company will advertise itself to big investors. If they think the company is a good idea, they get the first crack at investing and then sponsor the company's initial public offering, or IPO. This launches the company onto the official public market, where any company or individual who believes the business could be profitable might buy a stock. Buying stocks makes those investors partial owners in the business. Their investment helps the company to grow, and as it becomes more successful, more buyers may see potential and start buying stocks. As demand for those stocks increases, so does their price, increasing the cost for prospective buyers and raising the value of the company's stocks people already own. For the company, this increased interest helps fund new initiatives and also boosts its overall market value by showing how many people are willing to invest in their idea. However, if for some reason a company starts to seem less profitable, the reverse can also happen. If investors think their stock value is going to decline, they'll sell their stocks with the hopes of making a profit before the company loses more value. As stocks are sold and demand for the stock goes down, the stock price falls, and with it, the company's market value. This can leave investors with big losses, unless the company starts to look profitable again. This seesaw of supply and demand is influenced by many factors. Companies are under the unavoidable influence of market forces, such as the fluctuating price of materials, changes in production technology, and the shifting costs of labor. Investors may be worried about changes in leadership, bad publicity, or larger factors like new laws and trade policies. And of course, plenty of investors are simply ready to sell valuable stocks and pursue personal interests. All these variables cause day-to-day noise in the market, which can make companies appear more or less successful. And in the stock market, appearing to lose value often leads to losing investors, and in turn, losing actual value. Human confidence in the market has the power to trigger everything from economic booms to financial crises. And this difficult-to-track variable is why most professionals promote reliable long-term investing over trying to make quick cash. However, experts are constantly building tools in efforts to increase their chances of success in this highly unpredictable system. But the stock market is not just for the rich and powerful. With the dawn of the internet, everyday investors can buy stocks in many of the exact same ways a large investor would. And as more people educate themselves about this complex system, they too can trade stocks, support the businesses they believe in, and pursue their financial goals. The first step is getting invested. Interested in pursuing?
Okay, so I hope that gave you a little synopsis of the stock market and how it all works. Essentially, and it's called stock market or securities market. Securities are broader in terms of financial securities, a number of products. Initially, when it started out, the stock market only sold equities or stocks. So the securities market is made up of a primary market as well as secondary market. What's the difference? Well, a primary market is where companies or governments issue securities on the market for the first time, or the initial public offering to raise capital. You would have seen that in the video with the coffee shop. The first time they went to market, they issued an initial public offering to raise money. So that activity happens on the primary market. So investors purchase new securities. So when governments and companies issue securities on the market, the investors are purchasing these securities for the first time. So that's what a primary market is all about. In terms of the secondary market, investors buy and sell or trade securities among themselves. So for example, when the investors who purchase new securities on the primary market, when they want to sell those securities, they sell the securities on the secondary market. So the securities that are bought and sold on the secondary market are securities that have already been issued and are now trading among investors. And remember, investors can be individuals, companies, or governments. So let's now talk about the Eastern Caribbean Securities Market. So the Eastern Caribbean Securities Market was launched 19th October 2001 with the passage of uniform legislation referred to as the Securities Act of 2001. Across all of the ECSE member countries, and I'm sure you all know the 8 ECSE member countries because you all are all members of those countries: Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, Montserrat, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So that's why it's called a regional securities market, or the Eastern Caribbean securities market. The Eastern Caribbean Securities Regulatory Commission, so this, even though it was established under Article 3 of the ECSRC Agreement of 2000, it became operational when the market was launched in October 2001. And the ECSRC is independent and autonomous, and it is responsible for the regulation of the entire market. So the ECSRC key functions, it licenses, monitors, and supervises any person, entity engaged in the securities business. It promotes investor protection. This is important. It maintains effective compliance and enforcement programs, and it promotes the growth and development of the capital markets. So the ECSRC, or sometimes referred to it as a commission, has oversight responsibility, and it is the one that licenses the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange and the intermediaries, and has oversight. In terms of the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange, where I work, this was licensed as a regional securities exchange by the ECSRC under the Securities Act. So the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange, it's also, it's sometimes referred to as ECSE Group, because it also has a subsidiary called the Eastern Caribbean Central Securities Depository, and that is a wholly owned subsidiary of the ECSE, licensed as a clearing agency and a securities registry. What is the ECSE's mission? It is to provide the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union with an accessible marketplace in which to issue and trade securities, to clear and settle trades, and to register companies in a transparent, seamless, confidential, and secure manner. So essentially, the ECSE is a platform where the trading takes place. It is a fully electronic regional exchange, and it facilitates the primary issuance and the secondary trading of corporate and sovereign securities. Sovereign means government-related securities. It facilitates the clearing and settlement of issues and trades. It provides custodial, registration, transfer agency, and paying agency services in respect of all of the listed as well as non-listed securities. Listed meaning that the securities are listed and issued on the exchange itself. It maintains securities registers, it maintains securities holders records, and it processes corporate actions, pledge charges, and registrations. We also have the intermediaries, which is also an infrastructure. It's set up, it was set up as well during the launch of the market. An intermediary is essentially a firm licensed under the Securities Act. So the Securities Act is what essentially guides the entire market operations. So intermediary is a firm licensed under the Securities Act as a broker-dealer or limited service broker to trade securities on behalf of investors. So currently we have 6 licensed intermediaries who are actually licensed broker-dealers, and we will learn more about them in the next presentation. And then, of course, we have the investors and the issuers who are also participants of the market. So the investors and issuers, so if you're an issuer like the coffee company and you want to list on exchange, you have to go through the intermediary licensed broker, and then everything is licensed and approved by the commission. And once the commission approves that the company is fit to list on the exchange, then they can issue their IPO, initial public offering, on the electronic exchange. And of course, investors then can purchase and sell securities on the exchange. So the commission protects investors and oversees all of the workings of the market. A year after the securities market, Eastern Caribbean Securities Market, was launched, the regional government securities market was launched. So the regional government securities market, it was launched November 2002, and it is a primary market for the issue of securities by the government of the member countries. So this is a primary market operation, the regional government securities market, and this, the operations of the primary market is overseen by the Regional Debt Coordinating Committee. So the Regional Debt Coordinating Committee, although it works closely with the Commission, it is specifically has oversight responsibility for the primary issuance of government securities. And of course, once the securities are offered on the market, the secondary trading takes place on the exchange. So investors can then trade not only company securities like stocks and corporate debt, but they can also trade government securities like bonds and treasury bills on this exchange platform. So that in a nutshell gives you an idea of how our regional securities exchange operates. Okay. Let's just get a little snapshot market overview. And this is at 30th June, last quarter ending 30th June. So since the inception of the securities exchange, we have listed 180 securities. Currently, well, as at 30th June, there was 167 sovereign debt that are on the exchange and 13 securities that are listed on the ECSE and available for trade on the securities market. In terms of market capitalization, that's the current value of the shares listed on the exchange, that's the equities, it's 2.2 billion. So that's the value of the shares listed on the exchange, the current value. And then capital raised by governments since the launch of the RGSM in 2002 has been 19.9 billion to date. Well, as at 30th June. So it's even more if you look at current times. So that just gives you a little snapshot of what the market is looking like at the moment. So what are the benefits of the securities market, especially the Eastern Caribbean Securities Market in our region? Well, issuers, those are the companies and governments that raise capital on exchange. The benefits would be that issuers now have the opportunity to raise capital on a regional exchange. So instead of just issuing shares, for example, a company in Nevis issuing shares to investors in Nevis, the company can now list on the exchange, and persons throughout the ECCU, throughout the 8 territories, can invest in those securities. And so they have a wider market in which to promote their business so that they can raise the funds that they need to raise. And not just the ECCU members, because persons can outside of the region can also invest in the securities market. So they have a wider pool of persons with capital that can invest in their securities. And so that's the benefit to governments and companies listing on the exchange. In terms of investors, well, us individuals as well as institutions have an opportunity to grow our wealth. So yes, Aquila would have provided examples of the benefits, well, what the difference is between savings and investing. Savings, essentially wealth retention, whereas investing is where you want to grow your wealth. So once you have your savings set aside for emergencies and you have a little extra, it's wise to invest so that you can grow your money. So the exchange provides that platform, and because it's a regional exchange and it has securities from different companies and different governments across the region, it allows you to diversify your portfolio because you're investing in different asset classes. You have the opportunity to invest in different countries, assets that reside in different countries. So you have a nice opportunity to diversify your portfolio and grow your wealth as an investor. And in terms of the overall economies, well, if the businesses have the opportunity to grow and gain capital, then they can then do more projects. Both the companies and governments can now have money to provide, undertake more projects, and that will benefit the economies, because then they'll need to hire more persons. Then the governments will fix roads and undertake projects to make the economy better and grow. And so the wealth is then generated within the region and persons. And of course, if you have investors having an opportunity to grow their wealth, then their buying power is more. They can then purchase more in the community, and that all of that redounds to the benefit of the economy. So that, in a nutshell, gives you an idea of the benefits of the region overall. So that's essentially ends my presentation. Let's recap with a few questions. And Aquila and Tricia, if you can just monitor, because I'm sharing my screen, so I can't really see right now, monitor who needs to answer, who puts up their hand. But the first question is, what is a securities or stock market? Anybody willing to venture a guess based on the presentation? I think I see there are 2 participants raise their hand, but I can't see who's raising their hand. So if Aquila, you can just call on the participants, please.
Sure, no problem. So Ira Simon, secondary.
You need to unmute so you can respond.
A securities market is a market where investors buy and sell security.
Okay, excellent. And what are securities? Give me some example of securities. The types of securities. I know I added a question for you.
Stocks.
Good. Give me another example.
Treasury bills.
Excellent. Okay. Next question. Okay. So that was the answer essentially. So what is the name of the entity that oversees and regulates the market and ensures investor protection? What is that entity called?
Monster secondary.
The secondary market.
No, that's one of the types of market. This is actually an institution. It's an institution that oversees and regulates the market and ensures investor protection. And just as a hint, if you look at my slide, on the bottom of my slide, you can see it's included as a partner in this regional schools investment competition. So it's actually one of our partners. Okay, can you call on somebody?
Sure. St. Martin secondary, or did they just?
The ECSRC is responsible for the security of.
Excellent.
Persons.
And do you know what the ECSRC stands for by any chance?
Eastern Caribbean Securities Regularity Commission.
Excellent. Right. So sometimes referred to it as the commission. So that's the oversight body that regulates the market and ensures investor protection. Good. What is the name of the fully electronic securities exchange that operates in the ECCU region? So this is the actual exchange or the securities. I see somebody raising their hand. I can't tell who though.
And Sadler's, both of them have the answer.
Aquila, I didn't hear you properly. Did you call
Oh,
on?
sorry. I was saying Dominica Community and Sadler Secondary they have the hand.
Okay, so Dominica, go first.
ECSE.
ECSE. And what does the ECSE stand for?
Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange.
Excellent. And I think, just to say that I'm backtracking to question 2, I think one of the persons answered question 2. And I said it was wrong because I was asking question 3. But one of the question for question 2 is what a market where investors trade, buy and sell securities among themselves is referred to as a primary market or secondary market. And the school answered secondary market. So you are correct. I didn't realize you were answering question 2 because I kind of bypassed question 2. So yes, you are correct. And can one of the schools or more of the schools name one benefit of investing in securities on the ECSE? So maybe we could take about maybe 3 schools. provide one benefit of investing on the securities in the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange? I think a couple of hands are being raised. Aquila, you can call one at a time.
I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong, but Johan Blanchard?
And can you indicate what school you're representing since you don't have the school name?
Castries Comprehensive Secondary School. So,
okay. So name one benefit.
A wide pool of persons with capital that can invest on the exchange.
Okay. What did you say? Can you repeat? I didn't hear you clearly.
Issuers have the opportunity to invest on a regional exchange.
Right. You have the opportunity to invest on the exchange. And why do people generally like to invest? What's the reason? I mean, they have different financial goals, obviously, but generally, why do persons invest?
To grow their wealth.
Excellent. Okay, good. Can we have another school say another benefit? So the investors have the opportunity to invest in securities and grow their wealth.
To maintain securities registers.
Okay, so securities, that's a function of the ECSE, yes. But I wouldn't say it's necessarily a benefit of investing in the securities market, but it is a function that we maintain the securities registers. Any benefit or any other benefit somebody would like to indicate and it could be not just to investors, but to issuers, to the economy. Any benefits that you'd like to name?
St. Joseph's Convent. I'm seeing the hand up.
St. Joseph's Convent.
Investors can develop their portfolio by investing in different asset areas, making their portfolio more diverse.
Yes. So again, there's a benefit to investors. Is there a benefit outside of investors that somebody else can name?
Sadler Secondary.
To invest and exchange regionally.
Sorry, can you
having
repeat?
a wider pool that
Hi, can you repeat?
issuers have the opportunity.
Okay.
Issuers have the opportunities to invest and exchange regionally, having a wider pool that could invest.
Right. So essentially, issuers or companies that need to raise capital have a wider pool of investors that will invest in their securities so that they can raise the capital they need. Thank you so much. You all are in tune and listening, and so I appreciate that. And let's move on to the next presenter while I stop sharing my screen. Our next presenter, Ms. Tricia Ann Henry, will be presenting on investing on the ECSE.
Good morning. So I will be presenting on investing on the ECSE, and we will touch on broker-dealers and their services, investment banking services, investment advice, equities, shares on the ECSE, which is the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange, debt securities on the ECSE, upcoming debt securities issues, trading, and security ownership. Investment banking services. Okay, so broker-dealers and their services. You may be wondering what is a broker-dealer or who is a broker-dealer. So basically, a broker-dealer is a company that engages in the business of trading securities. And currently, there are 6 entities licensed to serve as broker-dealers on the Eastern Caribbean Securities Market, which is the ECSM. These entities are the Bank of Nevis, Bank of St. Lucia Limited, Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines Limited, First Citizens Investment Services Limited, Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited, and St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla Bank Limited. The broker-dealers, what do? They offer investment banking services, and they do that by assisting in raising of capital for corporates and governments. They buy and sell securities on behalf of customers and themselves. They offer investment advice, and they also manage a portfolio of securities on behalf of clients and themselves. Investment banking services, broker-dealers assist in raising capital by arranging, underwriting, pricing, auctioning. They do prospectus preparation, distribution, and so much more. For companies, they issue equities and shares, and an idea of what an equity and share was given by both Kula and Ms. Ulika. And it's done either via an IPO, an initial public offering, which was discussed, and an APO, additional public offering, which is when a company has already issued shares, which is an IPO. However, they want to raise additional capital, so they come to the market to issue more shares or equities. So you have an APO being issued. And they also have debt securities, government debt securities, and a government debt security is basically money borrowed that must be repaid with terms. And these terms include the size of the debt, the interest rates, maturity, or renewal dates, right? And this is done via auctions of bonds and treasury bills on the Regional Government Securities Market, RGSM. So currently there are 5 participating governments, and these governments are Antigua, Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So the broker-dealers, they assist in providing advice to the investors. So an investor comes in, and a participant from the broker-dealer service will clarify. The investor would come in and they would provide details as to what they want. So then the investor would clarify the investment goals and objectives. The investor would determine the risk appetite, whether they want something that's aggressive, whether it's moderate, whether it's conservative. They would identify the investment horizon, whether they want something that's short-term, long-term, medium-term. And based on that information, the investment associate or the investment advisor would provide a recommendation based on the client's investments, goals, and objectives, and the preference in terms of risk, the preference in terms of the tenure of the investment. So these are the companies that are currently listed on the ECSE that has shares, listed shares, and if you were to purchase shares, there is a minimum amount of shares that can be purchased, which is 20 shares. So currently, these are the companies that are on the ECSE. These are the symbols, and these are the closing prices. Closing prices meaning the shares are sold at those prices. So you have the Bank of Nevis, which is currently at $3.50. You have the Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which is at $9. You have Cable and Wireless St. Kitts and Nevis Limited, which is at $3.03. You have Dominica Electricity Services Limited, which is at $3.75. You have the Eastern Caribbean Financial Holdings Limited, which is at $5. You have Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited, which is at $8.15. You have Grenada Electricity Services, which is at $11. The General Property Corp, which is at $5.40. You have St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank, $2.80. You have St. Lucia Electricity Services at $23. You have SL Hotspur and Company Limited, which is at $1.95. You have St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla Trading and Development, which is at $1.30. And you have the West Indies Oil Company, which is at $60. And you have debt securities on the ECSE, and these are sold, auctioned on the RGSM. So you have treasury bills and treasury bonds. Treasury bills is basically government bonds that are 1 year or less, and it's offered a competitive bidding and it's sold on a discount. You have bonds, which is also offered competitive bidding auction, and it's offered at a fixed rate. With the bonds are a little longer term as opposed to the treasury bills. The bonds will be anything over a year. So you have treasury bills, treasury notes, and treasury bonds. So the treasury notes would be anything above 1 year to 5 years, and anything over 5 years, which is more longer term, would be treasury bonds. In order to invest on the ECSE, you must have a minimum treasury bonds. In order to invest in treasury bonds on the ECSE, you must have a minimum of 5,000 EC. And these are the upcoming issues on the ECSE. So we have the governments of Dominica, governments of St. Lucia. Governments of St. Lucia again has a US Treasury bill. You have governments of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, governments of St. Lucia, and governments of Grenada. So the issue details basically here, it gives you the issue size. So for governments of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you had, well, that was on September 17th, they had an auction where they wanted to raise $28 million. It was a 90-day T-bill, and the max rate was 3.5%. It stated max rate because when an auction is done, the government provides details of the amount of interest that they would be paying based on the different instrument that they are offering. So you have a max of 350. However, when the auction process is done, based on how competitive it is, it may not close at an interest rate of $3.50. It could close as low as 1.5, depends on how competitive the issue is. So that gives you an idea. The issue details gives you an idea. The first amount, the amount is in millions. So you have 20 million for the government of Dominica, and it was a 91-day treasury bill. They had a max rate of 3.5%. You have a government of St. Lucia, which is 10 million. They want to raise 10 million for 180 days, which is another T-bill, and they would offer 4% interest. You have another government of St. Lucia. However, that one is a US Treasury bond because it's 7 years, and they want to raise 7.236 million, and they would provide an interest rate of 6.5% max interest rate. However, it could close lower. You have the governments of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They want 28 million, 91-day treasury bill with a max of 3.5%. You have another government of St. Lucia with a 15.9 million, a 5-year treasury bond, max interest rate 5.75%. And Grenada, you have 10 million, 365-day T-bill with a max of 5%. So these are the issues that would be auctioned in the month of October on the ECSE. When you are trading, or you want to partake in a trade, you would first have to establish a brokerage account. So you'd come to one of the brokers that were listed in the different regions, and you would have to establish a brokerage account. You would inform your broker of the deal of your investment decision. So whether you want to trade in securities, government securities, or whether you want to purchase shares or equities in a company, you would have to establish a brokerage account in order to do that. So you will complete the trade form. So once your brokerage account has been completed, and then you have established what investment that you want to partake in, you would complete the trade form, which would give details of your investment, the tenure of your investment, the interest rates, if it's a government bond. If it's shares, it would give you the share price, and you would await your trade results and updates. So if you are successful in the auction, you would receive your confirmation, your holder statement, and also you would get a contract note with your investment details. If you were to partake in an auction and you have your maximum rates is at 3.5%, and you said, okay, I'm going to accept no lower than 3%. If during the auction process, the interest rate drops, or there's a possibility that the trader see that, okay, the interest rate is going to be less than the 3% that you are asking about, they would contact you to see if you want to modify your rate, if you want to go lower. If you don't, then automatically, based on the end results of the auction, if it is less than the 3% that you requested, you would not be in that, you will not get that investment that you chose. So you'd have to maybe select another option in the investments that will be available. Security ownership. So if you are an owner of securities, whether shares, whether it's government bonds, you would have to monitor the market for investment opportunities. So which government bonds would be available for the month of October, November, December? Which companies are issuing shares? You'd have money market for price movements. So you look at the different prices of the different investments, if it's shares. You'd keep abreast with news which can affect your issuers' operations and security value. So you'd want to know what's happening in the Caribbean. How would it affect your interest payments? How would it affect your principal that you invested in? You would attend annual general meetings. You would have to know how the company, if you purchase shares, you'd want to know how the company is operating. If they are making a profit, will they be paying dividends? How much will the dividends will be paid? How much dividends would be paid? Sorry. So you'd want to find out that information. You would receive dividends and interest payments, but it's not mandatory. The company could decide to not pay dividends for a period of time based on what they have going on in the company, if they are making a profit, if they are making a loss. With your security, you could either hold your security, you could trade it, meaning you could sell it, you could transfer it to a sibling, your mother, your spouse. It can be transferred, it could be donated to a sister, a godchild, and it could also be pledged. Pledged meaning that the investment can be put up as collateral for a loan. Okay, so this is it on my presentation. I'm going to have a recap where I will ask a few questions.
Tracy, just to say that you're not on camera, I think it was the same for me, so apologies for that.
I'm
yes,
sorry.
I forgot to put myself on camera as well. Mm-hmm.
Let me put this on. Sorry about that. Okay, so how many licensed broker-dealers are there in the ECSM? How many licensed broker-dealers are there in the ECSM?
6.
That's right. And I would like you to name them. Name the 6.
Name them?
Yes, please.
The St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank Limited.
Mm-hmm.
First Citizens Investment Services Limited.
That's right.
Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited.
Yes.
The Bank of St. Lucia Limited.
Mm-hmm. One more.
Bank of Nevis Limited.
That's right.
Okay, next time we will be calling on persons with raised hands, okay?
Okay.
The next question. Mm-hmm.
The next question is name free services offered by broker-dealers. Name free services offered by broker-dealers.
T.A. Mary Shaw, Community.
Ms. They offer investment banking services.
That's right.
True. Ms. They buy and sell securities on behalf of customers.
Uh-huh.
And then they give that
Investment advice.
Yeah.
That's right. The next question, how many equities are listed on the ECSE? How many equities are listed on the ECSE?
Sadler Secondary School. Sadler Secondary School, are you going to respond?
There are 20 equities listed.
Pardon?
On the EC. 20.
How many?
20.
No, that's not correct. Let's have Arthur Waldron, Seventh-day Adventist.
13.
That's right. There are 13 companies listed on the ECSE, equities listed on the ECSE. What are the two types of securities auctioned on the RGSM? What are the two types of securities auctioned on the RGSM?
I see Joan Blanchard, but can you indicate what school you're representing when you answer, please? Let's try Christ the King High School then.
Treasury bills and bonds.
That's right, treasury bills and treasury bonds. Name at least 4 governments which issues securities on the RGSM. Name at least 4 governments which issues securities on the RGSM.
Since there's so many hands, when I call on you, you just list one government, okay, until we get the 4. So let's go with Dominica Community High. List 1.
Government of Dominica.
Yes, Government of Dominica is 1.
Let's go with St. Martin's Secondary.
The government of St. Lucia.
That's right. Government of St. Lucia is another.
Grenada Boys Secondary.
Government of Grenada.
Pardon?
St. Vincent.
Grenada Boys Secondary. Can you please provide a response?
Government of Grenada.
Government of Grenada, yes. No, Government of Grenada is not one of the current participating governments. Sorry, yes it is. Yes it is. Government of Grenada is one, sorry. Yes it is.
Montserrat Secondary School.
Government of St. Kitts and Nevis.
No, St. Kitts and Nevis, they are not one of the current participating governments.
Yeah, so St. Kitts and Nevis issued in the past, but not currently, they're not currently active on the market. Chris Mignon, can you indicate the school you're representing, please?
Sam CC, CA Marshall Community College. Which one did you say? St. Vincent. But which one did you say?
St. Vincent.
Grenada.
Grenada.
Montserrat, because GBSS said Grenada.
Yeah.
Which one are you saying?
And even here.
Can you name one, please?
Montserrat.
No, Montserrat is not currently participating government.
Grenada.
We have 2 more left.
The government of Antigua.
Antigua, yes, Antigua is 1. So we need another school to provide the final answer.
Let's give a shout out.
The government of St. Vincent.
The government of St. Vincent, yes. So these are the 5 current participating governments. on the RGSM. Okay, so that's it for me. Thank you so much for participating in our recap and listening to the presentation.
Okay, Tricia, can you stop sharing so I can go ahead and share? Thanks. Okay, everyone seeing my screen okay?
Not as yet.
Okay, I think two persons can Tricia or Quilla add the two persons in the waiting room, please? Y'all are seeing my screen okay now?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, great. So before we get into just the closing remarks, so we've moved very quickly along for this session, which is great news for the schools, I'm sure, because I know you all have so many things that you all are doing. Before we get into the closing remarks, where I, provide just a little update on the competition, we're opening the floor for a few questions. Do you have any questions regarding the content of the webinar this morning that you'd like to ask? We'll allow for a few questions. I can't see the raised hands, so Aquila and Tricia, I'm asking you to check and see if there are any raised hands so that they can ask their questions, and we'll all try to respond. Okay, is it that there are no questions? Aquila and Tricia, can you confirm? I can't see.
No hands are up.
Okay, so I guess we covered the content and you all have no questions. Of course, we can always ask questions as we go through. So just to indicate, and I don't know if all of the schools, I haven't gotten a chance to check if all of the schools are registered for the competition that's commencing in October, and this webinar is to sort of kickstart that. This particular webinar was open to, well, it was a prerequisite for the students attending, competing, but also was open up to any schools and students who wanted to expose themselves to this information, because we're trying to spread awareness as it relates to investing and to provide information on the securities market. But essentially, this in terms of the competition, some of the presentation view. Yes?
There's a hand up from Christ the King High School.
Okay, you can go quickly before I proceed if you have a question.
I would like to ask a question. How old do you have to be to buy some shares?
Okay, that's a good question. So you do have to be 18 years of age and older. So you have to be an adult. But one of the brokers could correct me if I'm wrong. I think adults can buy shares in trust for minors. But in terms of individuals who want to invest on their own behalf, you have to be 18 years and above.
Just to add, Iluka, their legal guardian can purchase shares on their behalf. However, they would not be able to sell the shares until they're 18.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. Mm-hmm. Any other questions before we move on? Okay. So just wanted to provide you you should have this information already. But essentially the ECSE website, you can find the information about the competition. I'm hoping it will work when let's see if the screen changes. Let me verify the link. Everybody's seeing the change on my screen with the website?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the ECSE website, which is www.ecseonline.com. And so this is where you can find the information on the competition. There's these banners promoting stuff. You can just click on the arrow until you get to this, which is the Regional Schools Investment Competition, and click on the page. We also sent you the direct link to the page. So this is the competition page, which has all the information. So it has a registration link. We will be closing off the link today. We have 24 schools registered, but we will leave it open until end of today, which we will have to close because we have preparations to do based on the numbers, etc. And then this was the access link to the webinar today. So this is the information. It gives you general information on the competition, guidelines, the format, who's eligible, etc. You can also go here to click on the timetable, which provides you with some general information on upcoming dates and what is expected. So this is just being, I'm reminding you, because I would have sent you all of the links, but I'm reminding you can access this information directly from the website on the link that I provided. And then you also have a Regional Schools Investment competition, YouTube interview, etc. if you want to learn more based on the, so you have all information. When we have updates, etc., we'll post it here. So I just wanted to show that to you. So I'll get back to the presentation and indicate to you as well that some of the upcoming dates, which would have been noted on the schedule, we have the competition briefing. So these are for the registrants only. So the students that are competing, as well as their teacher guides, are expected to come to a webinar on Friday, 4th October. We'll provide the link on the webpage, as well as we will email you directly based on the email addresses you would have provided on your registration forms. We will send you the information. And then the start of the competition is Tuesday, 8th October. That schedule I showed you, which is on the website, you can take a look at the schedule, make sure you have that handy so you know exactly what the dates you're looking at for the competition. As mentioned, there's a intra-country competition is the first phase, where the top performers in each country will be chosen, and then those schools will then go on to vie for the regional champion. Okay, but we will discuss more details on the competition itself at that webinar. In the event that somebody is not able to attend, can you please email me directly? You can email our Regional Schools Investment Competition, so RSIC at ECSEonline.com. RSIC at ECSEonline.com. Those of you who have my email address, because I've been emailing the schools, you can also just respond to one of my emails and I will get the email as well. Okay, so I just wanted to let you know that of these upcoming things for the Regional Schools Investment Competition. If some of the schools who are participating are not yet registered and are interested in registering, we'll give you till the end of the day, but we will cut off registration by end of day. We'd like to take the opportunity to thank everyone for coming out today. We hope that you've learned a lot and your interest has been piqued, and feel free to reach out on the email address I mentioned, RSIC at ECSEonline.com. My email address is ta.brown at ECSEonline.com. If you have any question, I think I see a hand up. Who's that? Christ the King High School, you have your hand up.
Good morning.
Morning.
Quick question. As it relates to the investment program, is it any particular, is it a specific project? Do we have a specific scope that we have to create that level of investment, or is just any creative idea from the students? They come up with something and we just run with that project.
You're talking about the competition itself?
Yes, the competition itself. What are we investing in? Is it there's a specific criteria, or students can just be creative and come up with something out there?
Okay, no, we're actually providing. So I encourage you, you see the site that I just went on? It has
Yes.
all of the information on that site. So it's important you read through just to get a sense. But we will be giving each school a fictitious amount of notional cash, $50,000. Some of it will be in securities. So you already have securities. The remaining will be in cash. So they will actually be companies. We will be providing you with company profiles so you get a sense of what the companies are all about. And those are, so for this competition, we're not going to be trading any debt securities or government securities. We will be just doing equities, which is stocks, company shares. So you will be given a mix of company shares. You'll be provided with all the company information. We will be issuing market news, and all of these things you'll be using to invest and to make your decisions. We will go through all of the details and all of the guidelines on Friday, the 4th of October at our competition briefing. But I would suggest that if you haven't already, look at that website, ECSEonline.com, click on the poster. I would have also sent you the direct link as well. Let me see if I can pull it up so you can take the direct link so that you can then get some general information. It gives you a broad idea of what it's all about and what you're expected to do. And we will get into details on Friday when we go through step by step. So you have an opportunity to ask questions and seek clarification.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay. Any other questions before we close? I think there's something in the chat. Let me check. Okay, just answers to questions. Okay, any other questions before we close? Well, thank you for your time and taking all the time. Just to let you know, we have recorded this video. There was, I think, one school that reached out saying they were having a challenge. So I will check to see what schools would have been able to participate and which have not, because it is important and all of the students are exposed to this initial webinar before they enter into the competition. But we will have the video available, and we likely will put the link on that same website with all of the competition information. Somebody raised their hand, put it back down. Okay. So if there are no other questions, thank you so much. And we look forward to a keenly contested competition. And please ensure Christ the King. I think you have a question before we end. Go ahead.
Yes. Quick question. Can this will this recording be sent to a personal email, the email address provided?
Did you register your school? Yes, I think
Well,
you did.
I've just been briefed by the principal in regards to what's happening really, so I'm not up to date as yet. So
okay, can you do me a favor and send me or put it in the chat, your email address, so that I have
no
it,
problem.
And you can also.
I think you have it.
I have a lot of emails, so if you could, but if you registered with that email, then I definitely have it. If you haven't registered with that email, then you'll need to let me know. Okay.
No problem. Just send it.
Okay, great. So I will have that recording, and we likely will put a link with the recording on the competition page so persons can review the webinar if they need to. Sometimes there may be changes in the students, etc. And bear in mind, there's a maximum number of students. Please read the information on the website with all the guidelines. So make sure you have that information prior to the competition briefing, and then we'll go through some more details at that briefing. So we were able to end early, so thank you, and we send you off to the rest of your day. I know it's a busy day. Thank you, teachers, for organizing this for your students, and we hope that the students gained a lot out of this. You can always send me feedback on how we can improve going forward. Thank you so much and have a great day. And before I end, any last words, Aquila or Tricia, before we leave?
I'd just like to say thank you for participating. It made the session extremely helpful and upbeat. So thank you, guys.
I share Aquila's sentiments. I want to thank you for participating in the presentation.
Okay, and we look forward to your participation in the competition. Do enjoy the remainder of your day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.